Are descendants of slaves really American though?
Yeah.
What makes them American? Because
Well,
they've been here.
they've been here and they've fought in every single war since our country's founding. So, yeah, I think people who shed blood, who fought for the soil of our land, regardless of the color of their skin, are more American than people who got here 2 years ago.
Most of that blood has been white blood.
Sure, that doesn't change the fact that the individual who lost their life or who sacrificed doesn't change that fact. I mean, proportionally, black men are only 13% of the population. So yeah, I mean, most of it is going to be white blood, absolutely. But there are brave black men in my state, in our state, who have gone to war, not just in the global war on terror, but in Korea, in Vietnam, World War I, World War II, the Civil War. Their contributions matter just as much.
That's true, but predominantly that experience has been one reserved for people of European descent. And I think it's important for us to make that observation and not just count that out.
Well, I mean, you can make the observation. It doesn't make it, I mean, it's an observation. It's empirically true, But look, if you're someone from Sweden or from South Africa, and you're white and you come here and you've been here for 2 years and you are on an H-1B visa, you are not more American than a black American or a white American who's been here for 5 or 6 generations.
I hear you, and we can move on after this. But I guess
We are from America. We are part of the foundations of the United States of America. Family, understand, we were here in the United States before it was called the United States of America. It was called the United States of America, and it was established in 1776. We were here before then. That's not even arguable, okay? That's non-negotiable. We were here before then, family. I don't truly think some of these folks understand how long we've been in America. And for the ones who do, they're purposely saying this in order to try to distance us from America, to act like we're really from somewhere else in order to make themselves feel better.
I was born here. My dad was born here. My granddad was born here. My mom was born here. My grandmom was born here. My great-grandmother was born here. My great-great-grandmother was born here. My great-great-great-great-grandmother was born here, and so on and so forth. I don't understand why you're trying to tell me who I am or how I should identify.
Y'all, I'm not gonna lie. It still shocks me that in 2026, there are still people out there asking whether black Americans are really Americans. How are we even still having this conversation? We're talking about people whose families have been living on that land for hundreds of years. People whose blood, sweat, labor, and sacrifice helped to build the same country that some people are questioning them about. How do you look at people who fought in wars, paid taxes, built communities, shaped the culture, and still ask, are they really American? Come on now, at some point we've got to be serious. There are people who arrived in America much later, but somehow the people whose roots goes back generations are the ones being questioned. That does not even make sense. So brothers and sisters, we've got more clips coming up. Most of them are black Americans explaining how they are Americans. I'll come back at the end. Make sure you like the video.
You're of course familiar with the Supreme Court decision in Dred Scott versus Sanford.
Yes, sir.
That decision held that African Americans, whether slave or free, could not be citizens of the United States. Is that correct?
That is correct.
By denying citizenship, the court also denied African Americans equal political rights, equal access to the courts, and equal protection of the laws.
Correct. They were denied all privileges and immunities that the Constitution affords to citizens.
Would you agree that the Dred Scott decision pushed the nation even closer to civil war?
It did, by invalidating the Missouri Compromise, among other reasons.
Many historians posit the decision in Dred Scott helped cause the Civil War. And when that bloody war, the bloodiest war in America's history, ended in 1865, the legal status of the newly freed slaves was far from settled. Mr. Werman, after the Civil War, was it clear as a matter of law that the freed slaves would necessarily enjoy the full rights of citizenship?
It was not if Dred Scott was still good law.
Congress understood the danger of that uncertainty, and if the Constitution remained silent, the rights of the newly emancipated slaves could be challenged, undermined, or even potentially stripped away by future courts. That would mean that the blood shed in the Civil War was shed in vain. So Congress acted. In 1866, it passed the Civil Rights Act, declaring that the newly emancipated slaves were citizens of the United States. Mr. Werman, even after Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1866, Were there serious doubts about whether Congress had the constitutional authority to enact it?
Yes, there were.
And so Congress chose a more permanent solution. The solution was to write citizenship itself into the Constitution so that never again could a court repeat the mistake and the gross injustice of Dred Scott. Also, the leading commentators of the period, like Alexander Morse, Francis Wharton, and George Collins, and the view of executive officials responsible for enforcing the law, including the Attorney General of the United States in 1873 and the Solicitor of the Treasury in 1889.
The consistency was remarkable, yes.
Black Americans are American. They are not African. The vast majority of Black Americans living here today are American descendants of slavery. And because of this legacy of slavery, their connections to Africa are so distant and they have been severed that they do not have any real connections to it today. Nationality-wise, culture-wise, and everything else, they are American, not African. In fact, even the concept of ethnicity, their ethnicity would be Black American, not some form of African. And no, race does not make them African. Race is a social construct, and it's a pseudoscientific one at that. Not to mention, all human beings have their origins in Africa, depending on how far back we go. So this entire concept of, well, we have to consider the blacks African is just racism. Black Americans are American just like I am an American. I am not a European American. I have literally no connections to Europe at all. I am American, and so are Black Americans. Quit trying to divide people by the color of their skin, and instead, let people identify as they please. And I understand Europeans don't comprehend the concept that ethnicity and nationality are not the same things. Nationality is a political concept, and in the United States of America, anyone can become an American citizen. And Black Americans, the overwhelming majority of them, were born here and descendant of other Black Americans that were born in America. They are American citizens. So just because you guys are racist doesn't mean we have to be racist too, like you. And here's the thing. You guys are the same type of people who will go, oh, America's the most racist country in the world. Then you say the most absolute racist things possible and then try to make that as a sign that you're superior to us. You're complete and total hypocrites.
Okay, so that's a question in bad faith. When people continue to ask you, no, where are you really from? Well, no. Where are your parents really from? You know, I had somebody do that to me. Ask me where I was from. So brother, foreign brother. Well, where are you from? I'm from Atlanta. No. Where are your family from? Well, my family's from Mississippi. Where's your great grandmother from? She's from Mississippi. She was born in Mississippi. That really bothers them. The fact that we actually have a claim and actually have a tie to America that goes back to the very foundations of America. That's why many of them like the term foundational Black American, because they know it's true. But listen.
You are not American. Americans are white people. You are from Africa. Do you know that the white Americans that's here are from Europe? Do you know that majority of them migrated over here in the 1900s? They're the ones who actually came over on the ships by the droves. Everything that you know about history is an absolute lie. I'm from America. The Americas, specifically United States of America. I don't know anyone in Africa. I've never been to Africa. I don't have any relatives in Africa that I could call. I don't have an aunt or a cousin that I could go kick it with. I don't. Respect to the continent. But I'm from America, and that's okay. Spread love, it's the Brooklyn way.
It's important to remind white people in North America that they are immigrants, because they are moving like they are not. You know, whenever I turn on the news and I see things about ICE and illegal immigration, I go, okay, the people enforcing this, you know, they didn't come here with their papers.
And you told them, like seriously, you should go back to Europe because the sun is going to bother you.
Yeah, the joke is, as I say, sunburns are nature's way of reminding white people that you guys are immigrants too. And I think that's important. Immigrant is not a slur. Though there are tons of white people in my comment section when I posted that joke that got it. This one guy I remember posted a comment. He said, "I'm Irish and I live in Phoenix, Arizona. What am I doing?" And he's right. It's not his natural environment. And it's okay. I mean, you can still live in Phoenix, but yeah, just walking around with an entitlement that you're sort of more American is crazy. Here's the thing. People always ask me this question about, you know, how is it that you talk about race and you make fun of white priv and racism, but then white people come to your shows? And I say to myself, well, I say to those people, there are white people that are not racist that get it. The white people that have a racial bias won't be fans, and that's okay, and they won't get it, and that's their journey. But there are white people that get it.
Well, they were at your show. And they keep coming.
Yeah, and I'm thrilled to take their money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
African Americans came from Africa. Asian Americans came from Asia. Native Americans are natively from North America, and European Americans came from Europe.
African Americans have been here since the 1600s. To say they're not native is crazy. And I know this doesn't mean like Native American, but to say they're not Native Americans, like in the sense that they are American, is insane. From the 1600s, 1619 is when the first ship got here. For reference, that was before Westphalia established countries exist. Black people in America predate countries in Europe. Do you understand that concept? The idea that they are not American is so false when they came before most of the countries in which they immigrated from were recognized as countries. And obviously this is a nuanced conversation, so it's going to be a lot more that I can't put in this video. But from 1619, the Holy Roman Empire was still around. This was before Italy was a national identity, mind you. So like the people that came to the Italians that came to the United States, before that was a country, black people were here. So to deny black people from being American is egregiously false. Black people were brought here before the United States was founded. And it's really, really why, like, I think critical race theory needs to be a thing, because this really shouldn't be up for debate.
The whites don't even see you as American. They see you as second-class citizen from Africa. This is why they call you African American. The difference between black Americans and Africans is we don't give a fuck about what white people see us as or what white people think. We do not care. We don't worship whiteness. Not in 2025. When they threatened us with segregation, majority of us said, bring it on. We don't give a damn. We're not walking up to them. White people care about black people in America way more than we care about them. We're not trying to get invited to their cookouts. We're not trying to force ourselves in their spaces. Not in 2025. That's not what's happening. White people are constantly minding our business and coming up to us and asking us questions and wanting to be included and wanting to be invited and wanting to know what we got going on. Have you ever seen Karen videos? White women, they be obsessed. Obsessed. Utterly obsessed. We do not worship white people like y'all. A lot of y'all uphold white superiority. You ever want to see what leave it up to one of y'all. We don't do that bootlicking shit over here. We don't care what they think or what they consider us. We know what's on our birth certificates. I know what it says on my passport. I know where my lineage comes from. I know where my ancestors come from. It's a psychological mind trick to think that white people are fucking superior to you. There ain't no motherfucking white person superior to me. That hatred, that shit is love. Love and hate lives on the same spectrum. They love us so fucking much. They're so obsessed that it brewed into hate. A lot of it is envy, jealousy, admiration, inferiority. Not all, not all, not all. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. The fuck?
A lot of people talk about how black people have an outsized impact on culture. I would argue that they are American culture, right? Every good part of American culture comes originally from black people. Our economic foundation If you read The Half Has Never Been Told by Edward Baptiste, it talks about how in the 1800s and the 1900s, we really benefited from heavily subsidized, essentially free labor, right? Slavery's impact cannot be understated in our ability to grow this nation at such a rapid rate. We owe them everything, right? And from slavery, from that comes all of the modern music we love, right? The blues, jazz, all born out of a time when black people had no hope for the future, right? So they would sing, and all of that became the music that is loved internationally. If you go anywhere in the world, the American music that people are listening to all comes from black people, right? So when there's any controversy about this Juneteenth, I really want people to think long and hard about where this country would be without black people. Essentially nowhere, right? We definitely wouldn't be cool, right? You wouldn't be able to go to a cafe in Amsterdam or a nightclub in Bangkok and listen to things that are familiar to you. All of that is due to black people.
Seriously, I'm going to keep saying this until I die. American culture is black American culture. It just gets filtered out and watered down and whitewashed until they can give credit to a white guy. Jazz, country, rock and roll, rap, all black American creation. And then you want to move to the protest side. Bro, not only did Black Lives Matter spark actual other things like Asian Lives Matter and Queer Lives Matter and Trans Lives Matter, but on the flip side, when racist assholes were trying to say, well, Blue Lives Matter, through humanity, what happened is it translated into less of a sarcastic thing and more into a genuine, like, support your nurses and firefighters and EMTs. So even the people who might be the most discriminatory, they got to think of Black American for their own fucking views. That we're in a day and age where people are finally starting to keep it real. Finally. We literally created all of this shit. The whole entire system. There just wasn't a thing such as patents and all of that when we created it. So it was stolen. The whiskey that you're drinking, created by a black person. The things that you use around your house, created by a black person. Black American person. If you're a woman and you get your menstrual and you use a pad, created by a black American woman. Like, we literally created all of this shit. There's a plethora of things that we could run off, but it was stolen. And that's just the truth. I mean, take a look around how our very culture is like recycled and reused and outsourced, and everybody is pulling from Black American culture. And this is why we get so much hate, because love and hate lives on the same spectrum. They love you so much that they start to hate you. They imitate you, they emulate you, they want to displace you, and they want to replace you. Destiny swapping. Just keep your eyes open. But they know. We even teach them how to wash their ass properly. I've seen some videos of white women saying, oh my God, I found black women washing up, bathing TikTok, shower TikTok. They like, when they was little kids, they used to get in a pool and their mother said that they was clean. I seen another woman that was in the army and she said that black women taught her how to properly bathe herself, a clear woman. She didn't know proper hygiene. Some of them was wiping back to front, not front to back. If you know, you know. If you're a woman, you know. I had a white friend. I'm just going to keep it real. We was out, story time, quick story time. This is long, so maybe you want to press this, hold it down for the 2 times. Quick story time. We was out and we was hanging out. We went to a bodega like in the city. Went downstairs. She sat her bare ass on the toilet. I screamed. I said, bitch, you better not ever sit your bare ass on a public restroom toilet without at least putting some tissue down. Squat. From then on out, she never sits her ass on a toilet, a bare public toilet. She learned that from me. Spread love is the Brooklyn way.
This conversation right here should not even be controversial anymore. It really shouldn't. I am really still confused by how some people out there are still questioning whether Black Americans are really Americans. How are we still confused about this? So what exactly makes somebody American? Is it the color of their skin? Is it how they look? Is it where their ancestors came from hundreds of years ago? Or is it the fact that your history is deeply tied to the country? Your people helped build it, defended it, shaped it, suffered in it, contributed to its development, and created much of what the world today recognizes as American culture. If we are being real, when people outside America think about America, so much of what they admire, copy, celebrate, or even criticize comes from Black Americans, whether people want to admit it or not. You can go to countries that don't even speak English and still hear people listening to rap music, dancing to Black American music styles, dressing like Black Americans, using slang that they learned from Black American communities online. People all over the world imitate what they think is American culture, but many times what they are really imitating came straight from Black America. Even the way America looks culturally to the outside world have been heavily influenced by Black Americans. Sports, fashion, dance, humor, trends, all of that became the part of America's image. So when somebody turns around and questions whether Black Americans belong to America, I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. How are you questioning people who helped define the very culture you call America? Black Americans have fought in every major American war. Every single one. Even during times when they were being discriminated against, when laws were unfair, when opportunities were limited, they still fought for America. Black American families sacrificed sons, blood was shed, lives were lost, contributions were made. And honestly, I think sometimes people forget just how deep Black American roots go into America. We are not talking about yesterday. We are talking generation. We are talking about families that have been living in America for many years. In many cases, there are Black Americans whose family history in America goes further than many of these white Americans whose families came later. So when people ask, are they really Americans? I almost feel like they are asking the wrong question. Let's clear up another thing too, because I've heard it in some of those clips. The whole idea of saying that Black Americans are Africans. No, that is not true. Having African ancestry and being African is not the same. Some Black Americans today are generations removed from Africa, but their culture, their history, their lived experience, and even their identity is American. Everybody in America has ancestry somewhere else. Let's be real. A lot of white Americans have European roots, but nobody told them you are not American, you are just European. So why is that same standard always applied differently? And I think what makes this conversation emotional for a lot of people, it is not just about nationality, it's about recognition. It's about acknowledging the sacrifice of Black American ancestors. So I like the way many of those Black Americans in those clips responded. They were truly explaining how they are Americans. And this is not something to still be debating about because many of y'all are aware of the history. Only people who are racist are the ones who are still coming up with this conversation. Now, I want to hear from y'all. Why do you think some people still question something that should be clear by now? Drop your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to show us love by clicking on that like button. Mr. TA, your African brothers signing off. Ciao.